Hello everybody and welcome to my 9th Excel 2010 VBA tutorial. This tutorial is going to carry on looking at strings. So we've gone through how to use a string variable and how you can combine them together. What I'm going to do is just show you a couple of useful functions that you can use in order to to work with strings a little bit more. So the first one I'm going to show you is left. So left is quite a simple one. So you would put it around a string. So if we put my string equals left, and it's a method that's going to give you a string back. So it takes two parameters. So it takes a string variable, so let's give it my string, and it also takes a length as a long. A long is a type of integer, and it just means it can be a little bit bigger. So integer can only go up to a certain number of characters. I can never remember what the exact number is, whereas the long goes up a lot higher. But basically it just means put a whole number in there, and that number is going to represent how many characters from the left hand side you want to take. So let's put in 5 and close that off, and then that's it. So what this is going to do is it's just going to take the character at index 5 and anything on the left from my string and then put it back into my string, removing anything on the right hand side. So if we play this now and then head back into our worksheet, and then you notice it's taken the first 5 across from the side. So if we'd put in 1, it would take just the L. 2, it took those 2, 3, those 2, 4, those 4, and 5, it took that one as well. So that's how left works. If I show you right, then this does pretty much the same thing. If we press play and put it in here, then it's taken the 5 characters from the right hand side of the string. Now this also includes any white space, so if we put some spaces in here and then press play and then we look at it, it looks like it's only brought G through, but when you click in the cell you'll actually see that there's quite a bit of white space in there. So it's added that white space into the cell as well. So that's left and right. They're quite useful for if you want to cut bits off. So I'm going to give you one example that's quite useful, and that's using the this workbook dot name word. So this workbook dot name gives you a string. So let's create a new string down here. So dim workbook name as string, and then workbook name equals this workbook dot name. Now this is going to this is what this is going to do is it's going to take the name of the workbook and it's going to put it into our workbook name. So let's try putting this into a message box. Let's just comment this out so that doesn't stay. So message box and then workbook name, and put that in a parentheses, and then press play, and you see it's coming up with tutorial9.xlsm. So this is going to give us the full name including the extension of the file, but quite often you're not going to want to use that extension of the file there. You're going to just want that name on the side. So we're going to want to take the left hand side, the first so many characters. What we're not going to know necessarily is this one. We know the length of the name of the workbook, but that's because we know the name of the workbook. If we're making a piece of code that will fit into anywhere, and give us the exact name, but without that extension, then we're going to need to do a little bit of trickery. So let's take workbook name equals, and then we want to cut to the left, and we want to cut to the left of workbook name. And then for the length of it, we want to take the length of the entire string. So to work that out, we put a new method called len, which is length of the string, and then we put the string name in there. So workbook name. And then, so at the moment that's going to give us the whole string because we're putting in the entire length. But what we want to do is we want to just take off however many we don't want on the right. So we don't want dot xlsm. So let's just do -5. And then in theory now, when we make this play, it's going to come up with just tutorial 9, which as you can see, if we pan up here, that's the name of our workbook. So just flip back to our code. Just go through this one more time. So what this is doing is it's making this variable equal to the name of the workbook. It's then on the next line, it's taking the left hand side of the name of the workbook, and it's removing the length, it's taken from the left the length of the workbook -5, which is just going to cut off the .xlsm from the end, and then we're just putting it out into a message box. So the next thing I want to show you is how to use the in-string method. So the in-string method is another one that's very useful, and I'm going to use an example of it to show you how you would get rid of, say, this colon here that I've made a mistake for. So let's just get rid of this code. Make sure you get rid of this right one as well, because otherwise it's going to stop everything from working. And in fact, let's just go back all the way to here. So get rid of all that. And I'm going to eat my own words there, because I told you don't delete stuff, comment it out. So I'm going to comment it all out instead, because I might just want it later. So let's move that down now. We don't need that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in this string for where the semicolon is. So I'm going to put a new variable, so dim string position as long. So you know what a long is, I just explained the last one. It's just an int, but it's a bit bigger. And then we're going to go, so str position equals in string. And then we want a start point. So our start point is going to be 1. So the very beginning of our string. So the start point is where you're going to start looking. So if I put in 1, it's just going to look from the very beginning. If I put in 2, it's going to start searching the second character, and so on and so forth. We then need string 1. So string 1 is the string that we're looking in. So we're going to look in my string. And then string 2 is the string that we're looking for within this string. So I'm going to look for my colon. And then the last parameter, just ignore it, it doesn't matter, not for what we're doing. So that gives you then your formula. We'll then print this out on the screen, so message box, and then my start position. Enter. And then let's play this now. And then you'll notice that start position is now coming back as being number 2. So what this is telling us is that this string here is sat in the bigger string at our position number 2. So what we can do now is we can declare another couple of strings. So let's put dim left side as string, dim right side as string. So we now know the position in our string of that semicolon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this side, I'm going to take this side, add them together and create a string without that colon in it. So let's go move that down a bit. So we want to go left side equals left, and then my string, and then the length of it, we want to take the str position, and we want to -1 from it, because as you can see from up here, it's at position 2, so we want to take everything that is before position 2. So we want to just take well off, so it's going to go from position 1. So by -1, we want to say it found it here, it would take everything from here -1, so it would take all of these. We then need the right side, so right side equals right. Again, my string. And then this time, we want to do it a little bit differently. So we want to take from the right hand side, for the length minus the position of here. So if we put length, my string, and then minus start position. And what this is going to do is it's going to take the right hand side of this string, and then we could just combine these two together. So now we're going to make my string equals left side ampersand right side, and then we're going to message box out my string, press play, and then you see, look at me, I'm a string, but without the colon inside it. So this is just a nice little bit of code that will help you take out a colon in here. Now, this was kind of just an example, because there is a easier way of doing this. So there is a piece of code you can use which is called replace, and this does pretty much the same thing. So let's comment this out here. Comment, and let's just move this up here. Right, so let's start again. So if we wanted to replace it in a different way, say let's just go my string equals replace, and then you take an expression as a string, so that's going to be the string that we want to replace in. So my string, find as a string, so this is the string that we want to find, so I want to find a colon, and then replace a string. So what I wanted to do was get rid of it, so I can just replace it with kind of a null string. So this is just two speech blocks next to each other with nothing in it, and all this is just going to do is just going to replace any colons with blank space. And then if we close this off and if we play this now, you know, this is going to have exactly the same effect as we did before, but with a lot less code. So the reason I showed you the other one first is just because it's quite a good example of how to use the in-string method, and the in-string method often has quite a few benefits to it. But the replace one, if you're going to be substituting someone out, is a lot better, and also replaces multiples. So if we put in A here, and replace all the A's with replaced, say, and if we press play on this, then you'll notice that, look, and it doesn't say at anymore, it says replaced me, I'm replaced string. So rather than look at me as string, it's taken all the A's out, and it's just replaced them with replaced. So replaced can be really useful. So that's it for strings. In the next tutorial we're going to go into how to use date variables. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe to my channel so you can catch on to my future videos, and I hope to catch you soon.